Hey, bold dreamers, happy Thursday, happy Uncommon Thinking Thursday. And it's Kara. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, so I couldn't resist being outside. But I just wanted to ask you, how many of you have ever started trying to learn a new skill and then quit? You just, didn't follow through with it or whatever happened. And if you're anything like me, I mean, that has happened over and over and over again, unfortunately, in my life. I remember being little and I wanted to learn to play the piano, and I took a couple piano lessons and I quit. And then in my 20s, and I'm close to my 20s, but anyway, in my 20s, I wanted to, don't ask me why, but all the teachers at school were like knitting or crocheting these scarves. And I thought, you know what, I want to learn how to do that too, because the scarves are pretty cool. And so I brought the needles home, or whatever they're called, and the material, the yarn. And I never even finished my first scarf. Like, I had the directions, everything, and everybody at school was doing it. And I quit. I never finished it. And so today I wanted to talk to you about the process of learning a new skill. And I think when we understand the process of it, we're able to kind of dig in and apply persistence where we need that persistence to finish what it is that we've started. And so there are really 4 steps to building a new skill. And if you think of it almost like stairs, and that first and bottom step is where we are unconsciously unskilled. We have no idea that we don't know how to do it, right? It's that whole idea of what we don't know won't hurt us, because we don't even know what we don't know. If you think about a baby, initially a baby doesn't have any desire to walk, right? They have no idea. When I was 10 years old, I had no desire to drive a car. I mean, I was driving tractors, and that was important to me, but it didn't matter to me because I was content having my mom and my big brothers drive me all over. So I was unconsciously unskilled, and there was no desire for anything different in that area in my life. If you think about somebody pulling out in front of you, and maybe everybody reacts when people pull out in front of you, and they blast them with your words, and maybe you blast them with your gestures as well. But everybody around you, everybody in your family has that same reaction, hey Bridget, when people pull out in front of you. So that first step of learning a new skill is where you are unconsciously unskilled. You have no idea that you don't know how to do something. You have no idea that there's another possibility and another way that you could possibly do things. The second process of learning a new skill is that you are consciously unskilled. All of a sudden, you recognize that gap between where you are and where you want to be, between what you know and what you don't know. If you think about a baby, learning to walk, all of a sudden, there's this awareness that they want to learn how to walk, and they're starting to crawl, they're starting to pull themselves up. As I got up in my teens, I wanted to learn how to drive. I recognized that I was consciously unskilled. I was aware that I didn't have the skill that I needed to take the car out on the road. I could drive it on the field lanes maybe, but not on the road with other vehicles. So there's this conscious awareness. With the example of driving a car and somebody pulling out in front of you, there's an awareness that, I don't have to blast this guy. I mean, every single morning for the last 5 years, he's pulled out in front of me. I don't have to blast him every morning. So there's a consciousness that we are unskilled. We know that there's another way we could be doing things, but we're not doing it yet. So the third step of learning that new skill is that we become consciously skilled. We have to really think about it. We have to really concentrate. You think about a baby walking, they are focused, and a lot of times they start running because they're afraid they're going to fall right at the end of that. If you think about driving a new car, your hands are at 10 and 2, you got to put your turn signal on, take the emergency brake off. I had this checklist of like 20 things that I needed to do before I took the car out of the driveway. So there's this whole list of things, and we're very aware, we're hyper aware of what we need to do. It's during this phase that we have to do the most work. We have to do the most work because we recognize the gap, we recognize the possibility, in that phase prior to this one where you are consciously unskilled. That's where it's frustrating. You recognize that you don't have what it takes yet. But in this phase, you know that you can do it, but you have to be willing to put the work in. So the fourth and final phase is that you move into this place where you are unconsciously skilled. You get to work in the morning and you don't even remember taking the car out of the garage because it's so natural for you to drive. It's so natural for you to walk. You don't have to think about it anymore. And I think a lot of times in our own lives, we set out to do something different. And whether that's handling the guy on the road differently or interacting with our our parents or our partners and spouses differently. Maybe it's disciplining our kids differently, or you know, learning a new skill in our business, like uploading a YouTube video or whatever that is. But we set out to learn a new skill, and somewhere along the line, and usually in the middle two phases, we either get frustrated or we get to this point where we think we've worked too hard and it's just not happening for us, and we quit. We quit 3 feet short of gold. And so I want to invite you to take a look at your own life. Like, where are those places where you really have a desire to do something differently? And how can you, knowing this process of learning a new skill, how can you really stick to it and put that persistence in when you need to learn the new skill? So take a look at your own life, and hopefully the process will help you. I know in my own life there have been times, you know, where I've just been so frustrated. But when I've understood the process and understood where I am in the process, I know that the end's in sight, and I know that it's just a matter of time until I'm unconsciously skilled, and it comes naturally to me. I don't have to think about it. So look at your own life and see how you can apply this, and I hope you guys are enjoying this beautiful day. Take care. See you guys. Bye-bye.